podcast where we pull back the veil on the hidden, the mystical, and the mind expanding truth shaping our reality. I'm one of several hosts today, L1, and with me we've got Tom Reed and the Novi. And tonight we have a truly extraordinary guest. Joining us all the way from Spain is Marina Seren. She is a psychic medium, a model, intuitive artist, experiencer, and a multidimensional contactee. Now, she is known for her powerful insights into metaphysics, extraterrestrial life, the secret space programs, and alien hybridization. Marina truly does bridge the realms of science, spirit, starseed wisdom, and consciousness itself. Whether you're new to these concepts or deep in your own awakening, tonight's episode is going to challenge what you think you know and offer profound perspectives on the nature of reality and consciousness itself. So let's sit back. I want you guys to open your hearts and your minds and let's get into the know with Marina Seren. What's been some of maybe like a profound insight you've had since that time that your awakening started about, whether it's about physics, about reality, or about consciousness? What would you say?
I will say that for me it was metaphysics. Metaphysics cannot really exist without physics, and so the other way around. And consciousness is that underlying primal, element that we all needed to put in there to fill the blank spaces of any single theory that has been ever studied within any field of
After I
science.
had my experience, I was about 6 or 7 years old. My mother used to have horses, and I would climb on top of the stable, and I would just sit on top. I would go to the highest point I could, the roof of the house, and I would just look out over these fields, over the horses, and I'd look at the sky, and I kept picturing in my head like this fork in the road, and I went right when I should have gone left. I felt like I was on the wrong path. And I used to do that a lot. I would just sit up there. My mother used to give me like fruit, grapes or whatever. And I would just sit up there and snack on these things. And I just felt like I didn't belong, like I was meant to be somewhere else. And that still carries through to this day. And so with that, I'm wondering if anything like that, or if you experience anything like that.
Yeah, I kind of lived like throughout all my childhood and teenage years. I do remember that I felt that I told my parents that I did not belong to this planet, and I was very serious about that. They were like, "But
Oh,
why are you so sure about that? You're like very small to think about such things." And I said, "No, I know that. I come from another planet, and I teleported to the womb of my mom."
That's pretty
wow.
amazing. I got a question for you, if I might. Es un placer llegar a conocerte, ¿sabe?
Gracias. También es un placer para mí.
What a show off.
Y te he escuchado en español y te oyes, pero muy bien, para que sepas.
Gracias.
I'm just commenting that, I've heard her Spanish on some shows and stuff like that. She's really articulate and pretty profound in what she has to say. With what L1 said, though, and also Tom, you wake up one moment. I mean, how did it happen for you is really the question. You wake up one moment, or was it slow waking up, and all of a sudden you look at your parents and you go, "You're not my parents. I really don't belong here." I mean, what was the feeling? What was the shock value?
Well, that's a very interesting question because I think it was progressive. Because I will the it was definitely a feeling. It was not like a thought, like, oh, it was more like when you develop your consciousness and your frontal lobe as a human being, you start to develop and explore your inner identity, your inner consciousness. So your identity to be more generic. And at that phase of your let's say yeah, like evolution in life, you start to become aware of things that are not necessarily coming from a source that is a book or something physical or someone else's words, but your own perception or self-perception and portrait. And I felt that that was true. Like I came from another planet, another world dimension, and it was true. It just felt like that. Like it was undeniable, even though I didn't have like a theory behind that developed yet.
That's, I think, what the amazing part is, that you don't have the theory already developed. Did you read any books, or were you influenced, or did it just come automatically and just very natural to you?
very natural, kind of like a download of information, like computer download.
Wow. Did you find the study of physics then to be very intuitive for you when you started it?
Absolutely. In fact, there are great experiments in physics in which I had no knowledge, and I have not read them or studied them. And I'm talking about theories, like very, very complex theories
Hmm.
that I started to theorize myself. And then when I told somebody that knew about physics and was an actual professor, they were like, you know that that already exists and it's true and it's being studied by like the major scientists in this world. And I was like, oh, and I just I picked up on that on just 2 days of channeling.
And I know that you believe that like everybody can tap in. Yeah, I've heard one of your conversations, so I want to respect that. But as far as you go, I mean, when you're surrounded by like regular, everyday, average people, let's say, how do you feel? I mean, do you feel different? Do you feel like their energy is different with you? Do you feel like you have to hide yourself a little bit?
Yeah, do
Well,
you feel that there's more people who are also kind of like they're kind of in the know? Do you feel that's a growing trend, or is it more like more people are asleep, or what have you experienced?
it is not a trend. It is like a transition that is natural because of the cycles that we're going through. But in fact, there are much more humans that are connected to all these things that we believe that there are. And it is happening slowly, but it doesn't have to be shown, or it doesn't have to develop in the same fashion that most of us have experienced it.
Would you say that all humans like originated on Earth, or they're part of other beings that come over here and are participating in the human experience?
Absolutely no human soul has originated on Earth. When we talk about humanity, it is an experiment, it is a hybrid project, and it has been influenced by genetic iterations with hominids that were native to this planet and extraterrestrial and extra dimensional DNA. So, by objective science, there's no human soul that originated on Earth. We all have experiences elsewhere. Now, there are those humans that have more percentage of that extra dimensional and extraterrestrial DNA rather than the human hominid aspect. That's when we differentiate humans from Earth seeds, star seeds, and even hybrids. But we all come from other star systems
I
spiritually.
kind of tend to believe to buy that too. I mean, I don't think that we're actually from here. I think that, I've said this in the past that our planet has what 9 million species thriving here after five global extinctions. I mean, they're coming from somewhere. So with respect to that, where do you think that we are from? Where do you think you are from? If you are here because you were born here, but you're not actually from here, have you given that much thought?
Yes, I have a very intense study and
All right,
deep
tell me.
study about it. We are multidimensional, first of all. I want to remind everyone about this just before I start. So, this means that we are technically originated in the now moment, which means that you have fractals of your consciousness and your soul in terms of origin that might part from past, present, and even future realities. So I could be manifested into this focalized experience as Marina Seren. Um, lifetimes and incarnations have come from the
Hmm.
Pleiades, from the future, or from the Aldebaran system from the past, or the present parallel from Sirius, etc., and other aspects from Earth. So it is a very much more complex admixture that what people think it is. So
That
origin
makes
does not
sense.
state for just one
So
specific.
when you were younger, you were frightened by this, right? 3, 4 years old. Now, do you think that was meant to frighten you, or do you think it was just that you were frightened because you didn't understand? Because if you're actually not from here and you're just born here, then was that a contact saying, you're not alone now, and maybe you misunderstood it? Could that have been it?
Well, the point is that I understand that my fear was a mixture of very different experiences. Some of the fear that was coming to me, it was a natural reaction of my lower fractal consciousness. Let's say the frontal personality, which includes the amygdala, which is the part of the brain that we will call the reptilian brain, that reacts naturally to everything that it perceives naturally by mechanism and biology to be a threat. Now, it doesn't have to mean that it is a real threat, but it activates naturally because the lower fractal mind does not integrate all the things that are going to that are happening on a lower layer. So when a higher density consciousness comes through, and I feel that experience, but I cannot see anything, and I cannot understand who they are, I am feeling threatened because there's something greater that I need to integrate in order to match that higher frequency reality. So there's darkness that comes with it in order to be matching at that reality, and it comes naturally. So it projects itself into our brains as a defense mechanism. And the
Sure.
other fear that I experience is from actual negative regressive beings that didn't have their best intentions when interacting with me.
Service to self versus service to others, or would you say another categorization altogether?
Yeah, so exactly that, service to self versus service to others, or non-agenda based entities.
Yeah, we're aware of those types of entities for
It's
sure.
kind of like when you're watching a horror flick and a branch hits the window, your body reacts to it, but at the same time, it wasn't meant to frighten you. It's just something that happened. And right. So your body reacts to the moment. Right. Yeah. All right. Um, so I got a couple clips. I want to play something and we could talk about it. Okay.
Okay. I remember that I started feeling presences that were not positive. I felt that every time that I would go to my bedroom, I was scared, you know? I knew that I was being observed. And so I remember that I was scared of sleeping and going to sleep.
You're not even aware of where you're from, what's going on, and you're experiencing these things. And so your mind is trying to make sense of something on a maybe a linear level rather than an external level, and you're struggling with it, right? And so
Right.
there was something else too about space that really got my attention.
And I will ask my mother every time, Mom, where are we going back to space? And she will be like, I don't know, probably like in the future when we're like in 2030 or something. Some reason I started saying and claiming that I felt that I was not from this planet. And I will tell that to my parents, you know. I will tell them that I felt that I was not from here and that I came from another planet. And I was very sure about it when I said that, you know, when I was a child. So they asked me, they started saying to my parents, well, I'm scared, you know, because she's very like very sure about this, you know, and she's very little, you know, where did she get this from, right? And so my mother asked me, well, Marina, if you come from another planet, then how did you came here? And I said, well, because I teleported to the one of you, like your one, you know.
Right. All those collective things are a lot for a child to try to make sense of. You know, I was 6 or 7 when this happened, and my brother's child was about 4. And we noticed that when our children were the age that we had experienced these things, they started to experience them at the same age. And so, again, our family has always been kind of sympathetic to it because we also lived it. But to someone who is in a family who has no idea what you're talking about, that's got to really be
That's
hard.
yeah. What strategies did you develop to cope with it or to, let's say to overcome that? Because that is children are resilient, but that's a lot.
Yeah, I know, but when I was a child, to be honest, I didn't really feel that I had to cope with anything. I just went straight ahead with my experience, and I was like, well, I know this to be true, and I'm just saying the truth to them. If they're not understanding or they think that I am just a child and I'm have my own imagination being, you know, playing games of me, I don't care. I'm not. It's not gonna be, it's not creating a negative experience or challenging experience because, you know, they just think that I'm a kid. If they will laugh at me, you know, that will be a problem. But I was just like, okay, you know, maybe they will find out later, you know, in the future.
Okay. It's a very that's a pure of heart answer as a child.
Yes.
That makes sense.
Okay, so I'm not buying the whole Big Bang Theory either. This wonderful DNA that makes us who we are, how does that come out of just an explosion? So, what are your thoughts on that?
My thought is that when the scientists that theorized about this concept were trying to make sense of that origin of the universe, is that they transgress it with a very metaphysical and complex idea of when a universe is created out of another one. It's like recycled, and there's like another new whole experience of a multiverse for millions of consciousness, right? And second, they think that it has a beginning and an end, and that just does not match into the actual terms of universal laws, because nothing is three-dimensional, nothing is linear, let's say. So there's no beginning and there will never be an end. There is duality and polarity, but it doesn't have to have a intrinsically a negative meaning to it. It is part of the universal laws and structure of consciousness and existence that duality exists as a concept and polarity, and otherwise there will be no structure to creation. We need the creative aspect and we need the logical and structural aspect. So everything does have a polarity, a dual aspect, otherwise one cannot be reflected, therefore cannot make itself aware. We will not know what is feminine if the masculine did not exist. We will not be aware of what is cold if we didn't experience the warm weather. So that's why the concept of duality needs to exist in every layer of consciousness, so that things actually make sense as an idea, as a concept, and so that we are aware of it in experience. But yeah, in regards to the difference of the ego and the etheric, or let's say the spiritual, to be more accurate, it is true that we experience a disintegration of these two aspects of reality, when in fact there's no such thing as a total separation. But yes, we do find ourselves in a state of disintegration because of all the different layers of our multidimensional consciousness that we forgot. And it is part of the human construct experience. It is like a theme of exploration that we chose on a collective level. And part of our path is just reawakening and reintegrating it back to its place.
Do you
What
think
do you
those
think?
that
I'm sorry. What do you think your purpose is, and what being here? I mean, you were obviously, if that's the case, with you being born here, do you feel you're here for a reason? Do you feel you're here for a purpose?
Well, I like to say that answering to the question of what is your purpose will be the same as answering the question of what it is life. It has to be very ambiguous and holistic, because if it was a fixed answer only containing and contemplating within itself one concept that is defined, you will place limits to it, so it will be boring. It will make you feel.
Unless your talents are unlimited and you don't know that yet.
Yes, of course, but if we want to be a little bit specific or give some like aspects to it that I am already aware, one of my
So
purposes will be
when you find a
bringing.
boyfriend, or when your boyfriend or what have you, if now you start to marry and have offspring and children with a human, do you think that that's going to downplay your existence or your message or what you're here for? Or do you find that you run into other people that are much like yourself? In other words, a higher anarchy within the human race.
I do believe that I will naturally connect myself to those consciousness that are operating in a very similar layer that I am. Otherwise, a relationship will not stand up for itself. It will just not be harmonic.
Crumble. Right. So the reason I'm asking you that is that I'm O negative. I met my wife when I was married. She was A negative. My brother was also O negative. He married a B negative. So all our children are RH negative. There's 9 of us that have the O negative blood group within our family, which is super rare. And even Novak, right? You're O negative, right? It's crazy how, now I don't know what you are, but I'm guessing you probably have the RH negative factor as well.
I'm not aware of my blood type. I know
me
I'm.
neither.
I don't know about the RH factor.
Well, basically, the RH negative factor means that there's no tie to the
Oh yes,
rhesus monkey.
I'm aware of that concept. It's just that I never tested for that.
You never found out.
No, I
Did
know
your,
my father is RH negative, and I
oh,
know
there
that
you
I have
go.
grandparents that are RH negative.
Well, if your father's are your mother, do you know what she was?
She doesn't know neither.
Okay, because otherwise, the weird thing is that if your mother was Rh positive and she's carrying an Rh negative child, that your body wants to abort the baby. Your body goes into right. You have to get a demo shot just to be born because your body
That is
looks at it
correct.
as a foreign substance.
Yes, that is
Y-
correct.
Yeah.
It's
Although,
funny. It's funny you
mhm.
mentioned that because when I was born, I was told that my mom almost didn't make it. The whole situation was really bad, and they had to force me out carefully just to save her life as well. So her whole pregnancy with me was I was a troublemaker. So it's kind of interesting you're mentioning
Before
that.
you were born, you were a
Are you
troublemaker.
drawn
Drawn to water?
a lot.
Yeah, me
Hmm.
too. So do you do modeling in Madrid?
Yes.
Because we talked a little bit about that. Yeah, I used to own a modeling agency, Miami Models, and
Yes.
yeah, I guess you know that, right? So I thought this was a. Let's see.
Oh, wow.
We can see
Tom's
that.
been everywhere.
Is
He's done
that popping
everything.
up?
Uh-huh, yes.
That I like a lot. I might
Yeah.
What's
use
that on
that
the
one on
hands?
the banner
Looks like
that
a
we did for you.
skeleton
Yeah.
bracelet.
It
Yeah,
was like
that's super
cool.
cool.
I just
Matches
Mhm.
the outfit, the whole bit. That's a good one. Okay, that one he did already. Oh, where was this? Like a beer fest?
That was no, that was in Belgium.
Wow, you get around, huh? Okay. This one's cool too. That
Professional
jacket's not yours though.
Huh?
That jacket's not yours, right?
It is mine. It is meant to be oversized.
Okay. I was gonna say it looks like, yeah.
It's
And let's
called the
see.
boyfriend jacket.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. Yeah. I like the bangs there. Where was that?
That was in a very beautiful park in Spain that was meant to be only kept by a king.
So when you travel, what feels like home to you? What environment? Warm weather, water,
Ooh.
mountains,
I
Europe?
will say it has to be a very green place, like a lot of nature, and it has
Hmm.
to have either a river or the sea.
Yeah. I prefer palm trees and the ocean, but
Me too. I'm always more driven to countryside rather than big cities.
what I saw frightened me. And so I still struggle to this day. Like, was my mind making more out of this image that I saw, or being, if you will, because I was scared of it and I was still struggling with what was happening, or because in my mind I picture this scary thing. But I guess if I'm a child and I wake up and there's someone in my room and it's not my mom or dad, it's going to be scary, whatever it is, right? It's going to be bigger, right? So sometimes I struggle with, is my memory, my depiction of what I saw, is it more fear based in the way I depicted it? But I did not see what anything close to what most people describe today.
I am highly trained in discerning because I had to do a lot of work in terms of secret space program, military abductions, the elite, other agendas. So, because of my very active work in trying to gain the information of the bigger picture in exopolitics on Earth, I did have to reach a level of great discernment in order to
Hmm.
continue my purpose in that. So I can tell if somebody is one race or another race or what specific agenda there's behind.
That are, they vilify whole alien races or entities and say, like, yeah, it's all just bad. And I'm like, is it? It sounds too extensive to be all negative. Like, it sounds like from the way they talk about it, it sounds like there's, gosh, hundreds of races involved and multiple dimensions and planets and even different realities. So I figured it's got to be more complex than what people are saying.
That is true. Yes.
What I've noticed too is those who have had contact or are part of a bigger picture, they have a higher consciousness, abilities that they don't really know they have. A friend of mine who worked for a hypnosis center here, and they put this unit on my head, which amplified my brain signals. And they said, "Can you move the ping pong ball across the table?" And I'm sitting there thinking, right? I'm like, "Move," right? Telling it to move, and it wouldn't do anything. And so after about, I don't know, half an hour, the younger girl came over and she says, "Just sit back, close your eyes, and will it." And just let it just think like I'd like it to do this. And it did. I was able to move this ping pong ball over this table. It went through a loop, through golf, what would look like football post or whatever. And I was able
Cool.
to move it around the table, and I was like amazed with myself. I'm like, I can't believe I'm getting chills.
I think Tom's got some magic going on over there.
Yeah.
Go Tom,
Anyway,
go Tom.
it was crazy. And the thing was like seriously about 6 feet. It was basically like a full size air hockey table, but it had all these smaller holes in it. It was much weaker, and so the ball stayed maybe an inch or two off the table, maybe 3, and it was just crazy. I'd go left, and I'd try to push it left, and it wouldn't go, and again, then I just left, and it just did it. And I didn't even have to suggest so much what I wanted it to do. Just it kind of knew what I wanted it to do. And so I didn't even have to suggest it anymore. They would say to me, go through the hoop. And when I tried to make it do it, it wouldn't do it. It was like I was forcing something that wasn't there. But I'd sit back and just not think about it, and it would do it. So it was like subconsciously my brain was communicating with it, even though I didn't know physically that I was telling it to go. It already knew. It was
That
the
has an
weirdest friggin' thing.
explanation. That has a metaphysical explanation. First of all, when you say that when you were thinking about making the ball do specific movements and it wouldn't go through, it's because you were using the concrete mind. You're using the frontal personality and the brain waves that are lower in fractal consciousness and are operating more into the material world construct. So when you were sending the brainwaves that were a match to a combination of the subconscious mind and the higher mind and the superconscious mind, it's when that will make able for you to manifest your reality to shift with you, not by manipulation, but rather because you understand it's a projection of your consciousness holographically.
I'll tell you, the people that brought the board over
Nice.
were telling me it's pretty much like when you have an artificial limb and your body just knows how to do it. You're not telling your arm, pick up the fruit, put the car in first, right? Your body just after a while just connects to it, and just thinking it and casually, it already knows what to do.
But Tom,
So,
how did you feel? How did you feel when you made that happen? Were you like overly happy, joyous,
oh yeah, I
surprised,
was
or
like
did you
beside
feel like?
myself. I'm like,
Or did
turn
you
this
feel like you knew
thing
it was
up,
going to happen?
right? I was like, turn it up. Let me move some chairs. I was like, I was having a blast. I was like, I couldn't believe it. Really, to be honest with you, I was.
See, I think
I
Tom's
guess I
behind all
couldn't
those
believe the
people with the
fact.
chairs that are standing up.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
you, Tom,
yeah.
making
Exactly
that
what I was thinking.
happen.
Right.
Poltergeist,
Turn on the
really?
TV, all this kind of stuff, right? But I was like amazed that I was able to do it without trying anymore. I think that's what really made me realize that our conscious abilities are much just like having conversations telepathically. Obviously, we can do that. And that's like when you're walking down the road and you feel someone behind you, you're feeling that energy, you're feeling that wave. And I'm starting to realize there's a lot more to this than scientists want to divulge.
Of
And
course.
so, anyway, I just wanted to share that with you.
It sounds like these entities, they kind of know what that means. Most of humanity does not, but these entities, these other entities involved sound like, okay, this person, this person is not on our contract anymore. They broke from it. They're not on our agenda. We can't, there's nothing we can do. Is what you're saying.
But
Absolutely.
do you think that when you were born here, do you think that you were, I guess, meant to like break out and do something different? And I guess I'm kind of I'm struggling with my question here, but it seems to me like you, me, and others weren't meant to just live amongst the general public. Maybe we were to rise to something greater. And I'm wondering if you feel that way, or anyone else in your family feel that they are similar to you. Have you ever met a cousin or a relative, or um, for our family to all be very different, physically as well, with our temperature and that kind of thing, and all feel the same way, that we're meant for something else, but we don't really know what it is, right?
Yes.
And so you would think there'd be a message like, do this, run for office, be a senator, whatever, Or is it just to slowly integrate with the general public to kind of bring up awareness in a very slow type of way by having children and offspring? Or were we meant to meet and form something, a greater alliance?
Yeah, I mean,
Agreed.
everybody will have their own specific sole purpose. It's not defined to be or limited to one specific role, of course.
Have you ever had
Okay.
your IQ tested?
I haven't had a full, complete IQ test, but I had a small one that is
Uh-huh.
like gives you like a general answer, and I was observed. I was detected to be gifted, like
Yeah,
above
my son too.
100.
He was in the gifted program, superior range. He had an IQ of like 167, right under 170. And I'm like, I like to think I'm fairly smart too. And if you saw his mother, he definitely didn't get it from her, right? So,
Oh,
so,
stop it.
so he got it from somewhere. I don't know if you believe in parallel universes and that kind of thing. Were we on the wrong one? I should have been over here and I'm over here now? Or because you're not alone. I'm not alone, right? This has happened to quite a few of us. And so there has to be a purpose. There has to be a reason. But you're not alone. And I'm sure you've met other people that are very similar to you, as I have. And my whole family seems to be part of something larger, but we don't really know what it is. And I think it's a little unfair to have us here and not have any guidance. Yet we seem to collectively find each other anyway in these
Yes,
odd.
well, people that will come to you like a friend that you will perceive to be like your family, that has to do with lineage and all of these things, like psychic people or people with heightened abilities or connections or experience. It goes all back to DNA, to genetic information, and to
I just want to say,
lineage.
Marina, the questions that you answered were really difficult. They were very precise, and
Yeah,
I mean, you are just on point on just about
right.
everything you've said so far. All of our research kind of matches what you've been saying. Very amazing to have someone have it all together like you do.
Thank you so much.
Nailing it, like everything. It's like you can really have a wide range of interest and knowledge, and it's. I was surprised, to be quite honest with you.
Well, I'm glad.
I
Yeah,
wasn't surprised. I thought you had it in you the whole time.
yeah.
Oh,
This is his first show with us, by the way.
radioed.
Yeah.
One last question. For those, if you just had one message, I know this is tough, but one message to share with those who feel either different, lost, or that they just don't belong, whether or not they're, tuned in or not yet to Earth, what would you tell them?
Just enjoy the ride because things will start to get even more and more exciting and interesting as they
I
continue
like
forward.
that. I
I like
like
it.
that. I like the message of hope.
Yeah, I like how exciting too. Not crazy or weird, but exciting because for some of us it will be exciting.
Think so. I think for a lot more people than we give credit for, it's going to be exciting. It's going to
I
be
think it's a
hopeful.
real positive attitude at a situation that's going on and that we all are somewhat
Thank
a
you.
part of.
So, listen, thank you so much, Marina. Thank you so much for appearing on The Know. And wow, what an incredible journey that we've just taken for those of you listening. Marina really reminds us that reality is so much more layered and complex and mysterious than it seems. Now, if tonight's episode resonated with any one of you, please share it with someone who's ready to expand their understanding. And don't forget to subscribe, leave a review and a comment so that we can keep bringing you powerful voices like those of Marina. And you can follow Marina, explore her work at marinaseren.com. Don't worry, we'll make sure to put a link there. As always, stay curious, stay grounded, and stay in the know.
Thank you, Marina. Thank you.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Gracias.